Story 1, my boss said, just follow the script. So I did, all the way to $1 million client meltdown. I work in customer support for a company that provides specialized software to major players in the healthcare industry. Our clients aren't your average users, they're hospitals, clinics, and medical centers where downtime can have serious consequences. I've been with the company for 5 years and know our software inside out, so I'm often able to troubleshoot unusual problems and get things back on track without a hassle. A few months ago, though, a new supervisor named Alex joined us. He was fresh from a corporate management program and came in with grand ideas about efficiency and productivity. In his mind, the solution to our slow response times was simple: a script-only policy. According to him, every client interaction needed to be scripted to prevent wasting time on unnecessary advice. No more custom solutions, no additional steps, no thinking outside the box. If a client's issue wasn't in the script, we were to log it, escalate it, and have them wait for a callback. When Alex announced the new policy, I raised my hand, explaining that most clients call us precisely because they're dealing with specific, time-sensitive issues. Sticking rigidly to the script would just frustrate them and, in many cases, fail to solve their problems entirely. Alex didn't budge. Everyone follows the script, no exceptions, he said, smiling in that overconfident way that made it clear he thought he was reinventing the wheel. If even our biggest client calls, you follow the script. Cue a couple of weeks later. One morning, I pick up a call and am greeted by the CEO of one of our top clients, a massive healthcare network we've worked with for years. They hold a multi-million-dollar contract with us, and losing them would be catastrophic. The CEO is calling in a panic because their entire system is down. The glitch they're dealing with is blocking patient records and diagnostics, putting patient care at risk. This isn't just a technical issue, it's affecting people's health. As soon as he describes the issue, I recognize the problem. It's a known bug with a straightforward, 5-minute workaround, something I've handled a dozen times before. But here's the thing, the fix isn't in the script. I'm immediately torn. My instincts tell me to help him, to do my job and prevent a disaster. But Alex's strict orders echo in my head: follow the script. No exceptions. If I help, I risk my job. If I don't, I risk this client's contract, and possibly lives, so I do exactly as Alex told me to do. I go through the script, step by painful step. The CEO is losing patience fast. As I drone through basic troubleshooting steps he clearly doesn't need, he interrupts, asking why I'm wasting time. I explain the policy: I'm only allowed to offer solutions that are in our script. If this doesn't fix it, I can escalate the case, and someone will call you back within 24 hours. He goes dead silent, then says, escalate it. Now. I log the issue as required, escalating it for a callback. Within an hour, word spreads that Alex has been summoned to an emergency meeting with our department head. Apparently, the CEO of our client had gotten in touch with our company's leadership directly and wasn't mincing words. He demanded an explanation for the sudden drop in our service quality and threatened to take his business elsewhere. Rumor has it he even said, if your idea of support is running through a script instead of fixing the problem, then we're done here. By the end of the day, we all received an email titled, Script Policy Update. Effective immediately, we were now encouraged to use best judgment and to go off script as needed for high-priority issues. Alex's entire efficiency plan was scrapped on the spot, and he's now under performance review. It's safe to say he's lost any respect from our team, and I'm not sure his reputation will ever recover after that blunder. In the days that followed, the story of the client meltdown spread like wildfire through the office, growing more exaggerated with each telling. Some people said the CEO threatened to sue. Others claimed he'd hinted at buying out a competitor. Regardless of the details, Alex's name became a kind of cautionary tale, a reminder of what happens when you put rigid policies above common sense. And as for me, well, I've been doing my job the way I always have, thinking on my feet, solving problems, and trusting my instincts. The difference now is, I have a little smirk every time I think about it. After all, I was just following orders. Story 2, every day off must have a medial certificate, no exceptions. This one comes from my old man's days working at Ford. The usual policy for them, and I'm sure for most of you out there, is a single day off does not require a medical note, but multiple days in a row or those before and after a public holiday do. A new manager decided to cut down on those employees who would take a sickie every so often. He would put in place the policy that even a single day off sick would require a medical certificate. What happened was people would comply with this request, but now rather than one day off to relax, people would take a whole week off. You see, doctors out here are pretty relaxed and just ask you how many days you want off when writing a certificate. We also get 14 days sick leave per year. The new policy turned that one day off into 5-day-itis. After a little while of this, the policy was rescinded. Oddly enough, this raised its head again at my first workplace. The new manager was happily telling us how every single day off would require a certificate. I pointed out this story from my old man's days at work. His new policy lasted less than 2 hours. Story 3, want to force me to give out resumes when I already have a job. Fine then, I, 22M, am the primary caretaker of one of my family members. Among other chronic illnesses, she is a diagnosed narcissist with early dementia. As per my family's request, I moved with her and took an online job as a trilingual translator to ensure I would be there 24/7 should she have an emergency. Somehow, she has interpreted my constant presence as me not having a job, despite me explaining several times that I did, in fact, work. She went to the point of stealing my ID and debit card, saying she would not be giving them back to me unless I gave out resumes where she told me to. I have searched the whole house and couldn't find them, so I was forced to comply. I have a huge amount of respect for people who work in these fields, but I am not taking a job as a cleaner or a cashier when I work in my field of choice. That's when I noticed all the places she was forcing me to send out resumes to were requesting a cover letter. This is where the malicious compliance takes place. I took an already written cover letter and changed some details so it'd be like I wrote it myself. I made her read it and approve it as per her request, then added the following sentences in my second paragraph: if this letter arrives on your desk, please know that this application has been sent without my consent. Already having an online full-time job, please do not take it into consideration. As you can imagine, I didn't get called back much. Only one place sent me an email, and once I explained the situation, their HR team wished me luck with my situation and told me this motivated them to read cover letters more carefully. At the same time, I contacted my boss. I knew they sometimes open in-office positions and my boss is one of the nicest people I know, so I contacted her and asked if there was any way I could get the next in-office position, telling her why exactly I was asking that. I've been working there for 6 months and she never had any complaints about me, so she sent me a permanent contract starting in January 2025 for their office. It's overseas, in a country where I'm legally allowed to work without a work visa. I won't specify which country, since I have the intention of disappearing there. My flight is already booked, and only my best friend knows what is going on. I have a letter already written out where I tell my family to not warn the authorities. As soon as I land, my bank account will be closed and my phone subscription cancelled, and after 5 years, I will ask to become a citizen in that country and won't renew the paperwork necessary to prove my citizenship in my birth country. I have 3 younger siblings, all of them are still in middle school. They have their own email addresses that our parents don't know about, so I will send them an email telling them this is not their fault and that they're the only ones in the family who are allowed to contact me. I'll also add that I will answer to any questions they have once they turn 18. I'm excited. I'm excited to start a new life. I'm excited to get out of this family who has been the source of most of my problems for my whole life. I'm excited to finally escape toxic people in a toxic environment that was destroying my mental health. Only 2 months left, and after 22 long years of waiting I'll finally be free. All of this because my last straw was forcing me to send out job applications. Story 4, my boss wanted efficiency, so I gave him just that. Note, English is not my first language. I've been working in my field for a while, and I've always taken pride in doing a thorough, reliable job. I'm a high performer and had a solid track record with my previous bosses, who valued quality and consistency. But then Eric became our new boss, and things took a hard turn. Eric was all about efficiency. He came from a startup environment where things didn't need to be perfect. Just right and fast. He wanted things done fast, even if it meant cutting corners. In meetings, he'd throw around phrases like, "Time is money," and "every second counts." Sure, efficiency is important, but Eric took it to an extreme. He didn't care about the quality of our work, he just wanted it done now. Nuances, quality checks, and double-checking went right out the window. Then, he decided to implement a time tracking and output policy. This meant logging every task we worked on with specific time limits. Anything taking longer than his arbitrary limits was flagged, and we'd have to explain ourselves in weekly efficiency reviews. Essentially, the new rule was, don't need to do it completely right, just do it fast. I tried explaining to him that rushing through things would lead to mistakes, but Eric insisted this would maximize productivity. Frustrated but willing to play by his rules, I decided I'd give him exactly what he asked for. If Eric wanted speed, I'd deliver speed. I stopped double-checking everything. Tasks that normally took an hour to review and refine, I was now completing in 15 minutes, barely glancing at them. Documents that required analysis, I'd throw some data together and call it a day. Anything that usually got a thorough review now only got a quick, single pass. Tops. Naturally, errors began cropping up. Typos, incorrect numbers, misplaced data, bad presentations, mistakes were popping up everywhere. But technically, I was working exactly within Eric's time limits. Eric was thrilled with how much faster I was working and started bragging in meetings about how efficient our team had become. Then the client started to notice. One of our biggest accounts found a major error in a document I'd whipped together at record speed. That led to an awkward phone call with Eric. More issues came up, and after about 2 weeks of optimized efficiency, I got called into his office with his boss. Eric, visibly irritated, asked me why the quality of my work had taken such a nosedive. I calmly explained that I was meeting all of his time limits, exactly as instructed. I told him that quality work requires time, which I simply didn't have under his new policy. Eric sat there in silence, realizing his policy had backfired. His boss stared at him, completely stunned and red in the face. After an awkward pause, Eric muttered about re-evaluating the time limits on tasks. The efficiency policy quietly disappeared soon after. Now, I'm back to doing my job properly. Eric's underperformance review and his boss is closely involved with all our operations, especially with big clients. Why reinvent the wheel when things are working fine? And why try to rein in the high performers to stamp your authority? Story 5, do it correctly. I work in Arizona's hometown grocer's meat department. I love most of my customers. Some of them, not so much. This is about one of those guys. Trout Hat Terry comes into the meat department, looking around in a manner that I could only describe as inspectorial. Like he was agreeing or disagreeing by nodding or shaking his head with everything he looked at. A flurry of eyebrows and shoulders. He comes to me as I greet him with my usual "Hey, how's it G?" Then he spits right into his spiel. "Yeah, I won that piece, can you see it?" Very abrupt and unnecessarily adversarial, plus I'm terrible at meat plinko, where I have to figure out what he's pointing at using a 120-degree angle that needs adjusting for our difference in height. I'm thinking, dude, you can poke the glass as hard or as woodpeckery as you want, I still don't know which one. It's the same thing with my other job. When I've got to get a pack of obscure cigarettes, I just put my finger someplace and they say higher, lower, lefter, or righter. Easier game for both of us. Anyway, we finally get through the beef gauntlet when I throw it atop the scale. Every time I put meat on the scale, I put it on a mini individual wax paper. I had another one I grabbed it with and it was on top of the meat. As I weigh him out and print the ticket, he waits till the ticket is printed and meat wrapped and in his hand to say, "Hey, comma, do it correctly." I look at him, the way my dog did the first time he heard me fart. Just head cocked trying to figure out what just happened. You put an extra paper on the scale, you made it way more, redo it. Make it correctly. Sir rec LYYY, I guess he didn't like the price. I was going to do what I usually do in this case and show him that the paper is literally weightless and doesn't change the scale when I saw a glorious opportunity. I saw that the code was wrong, that I put in like way wrong to his benefit. I easily could have typed in the same code I did before, but I decided to apply my MC card. Oh crap, I put this in as New York strip instead of filet man, my bad, good call. I wrapped it happily and handed it to him with an Aaron Rodgers booger-eating grin on my face. $26 Jesus. Well, I guess I deserved that, huh? Nice to see a guy take it in stride. After I entered the weight correctly, TLDR got my meats mixed up.